Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the circus that is America in 2025. And we just got news fresh off the press, well, fresh enough. Donald Trump, Nobel Peace Prize, not gonna happen this year, baby. I find it wild that Donald Trump's name would even be in the contest. And I don't think it ever really was, but it was just the faithful that were behind him that were really supporting any kind of claim that the man had, if he had one at all. But let's have a look into the mind of the ego, the mind of the man, and see what it actually thought about the potential of him getting the Nobel Peace Prize.
You have time and again said that one should not underestimate Mr. Trump's negotiating ability. Do you personally believe that Mr. Trump deserves to win the Nobel Peace Prize tomorrow?
Oh, well, I think that's probably a decision that comes from the Nobel Committee. And my take is that there are two key pieces that have to be solved in the big picture. One is in the Middle East, and we're seeing the results of that. And then the other one is between Russia and Ukraine. And once those are solved, I don't see any impediments to it.
Mr. President, how do you rate your chances of winning the Nobel Peace Prize tomorrow?
Well, I don't know. Look, I made 7 deals, and now it's 8. But they'll have to do what they do. Whatever they do is fine. I know this. I didn't do it for that. I did it because I saved a lot of lives.
You did, and President Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize for way less.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Obama got a prize. He didn't even know what he got. He got elected, and they gave it to Obama for doing absolutely nothing but destroying our country. No, he was not a good president. The worst president was Sleepy Joe Biden. But Obama was not a good president.
Are you going to do something with the
They
Hezbollah?
gave him a prize. How many months after he won the election, then they gave him the Peace Prize, right?
It was right afterwards.
Are you going to take
My election was a much more important election.
I like how there's this idea that a Nobel Peace Prize should just kind of come with the territory of him being elected president. Like it's something he was destined to get. Like it was his birthright. I'm not the biggest fan of any president that we've had in my lifetime, but to say that Obama was a terrible president, I think coming from this president is a ludicrous statement to make, honestly. But let's hear what the Nobel Committee actually had to say in response to Donald Trump's claim.
U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly said he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize and he'd like to have it. He even said that it would be an insult to the United States if he doesn't get it. What does as the chairman of the Nobel Peace Prize Committee think of this, and how has this campaign-like activity by the president and his supporters domestically and internationally affected the deliberations and the thinking in the committee?
In the long history of the Nobel Peace Prize, I think this committee have seen any type of campaign, media attention. We receive thousands and thousands of letters every year of people wanting to say what for them leads to peace. This committee sits in a room filled with the portraits of all laureates, and that room is filled with both courage and integrity. So we base only our decision on the work and the will of Alfred Nobel.
I like that. The idea of courage and integrity really defining what goes into deciding who embodies that and deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. Like I said, it's not something that you can just earn, because the achievements that you have, whether they're perceived positively or negatively, depend on how you are perceived by the public. So your supporters might think that you supporting Israel while they bombed Gaza into complete destruction, right? Or your initial strikes on Iran, taking more lives, or just targeting fishing boats off the coast of Venezuela, when your entire way to seek peace is through the subjugation, oppression, and destruction of people who aren't actually attacking you. How in the world do you think that you deserve a Nobel Peace Prize? If anything, that should put you on the bottom of the list, you'd think.
I can't be the only one surprised that Trump did not win the Nobel Peace Prize, my God. But Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, wants you to know the Nobel Committee talks about peace. President Donald Trump makes it happen. The facts speak for themselves. President Trump deserves it. Peace through strength. What? It almost sounds like a new game hack to where you game the system and then you back out of it real quick and try to act like you were a good guy. Almost like, I don't know, maybe you were funding a genocide and providing weapons for that genocide and allowing that genocide to take place. while all the people in this country were pissed off at you, Trump, you let it happen. So it's no surprise you did not win the Nobel Peace Prize. And we haven't even talked about bombing Iran, a country that has never done anything to the United States. But we'll do whatever it takes for those.
Can't include that. So let's break this down for a minute in case you were wondering if the world that we're in is still real or it's some kind of just disgusting simulation. So here's what happened. The 2025 Nobel Peace Prize actually went to Maria Carina Machado, the Venezuelan opposition leader, a human rights advocate and fighter, true fighter for democracy, in a country where it's very hard to fight for actual democracy. A real life activist doing very dangerous work. Meanwhile, Trump has been campaigning for the Nobel Peace Prize. He's basically been begging for it. He's out there with his little hands extended, you know, gimme, 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 gimme. Like my baby upstairs, essentially, when we have pears in front of his face. He's been claiming that he's ended 7 wars, or stopped 8 wars, or brokered peace everywhere, blah, 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 blah. And the Nobel Committee essentially saw that, saw the claims, saw the campaign, saw everything that he's been doing, scratched their heads at why he thought he'd actually get the Peace Prize, and we're like, nah, bro, it's just the same for you. Now, the White House, of course, is absolutely seething over this decision of Trump being passed over. They're throwing around things like politics over peace. They don't appreciate an actual peacemaker. But of course, this is also coming from the guy who bombed and tariffed every person that he really disliked, and all at the same time calling himself a peacemaker. There was a poll a few weeks ago saying that something like 76% of Americans believe that he should not get the Nobel Peace Prize. So not only is he losing international respect contests abroad, but he's losing those same contests here in the States. But again, let's talk about the audacity of this entire thing, thinking that the Nobel Peace Prize is some kind of birthright just because you ascended to the throne. There's nothing peaceful about this president. In fact, he doesn't even do peace quietly. He treats peace like it's some kind of campaign rally, the microphone in hand, all while just yelling around that the entire thing is rigged. Right? The election's rigged, the Nobel Prize is rigged, everything's against him, everybody wants him to fail, without any kind of acknowledgement of the decisions that you've been making, the policy that you've been pushing on the rest of the world is of great detriment to peace. I mean, imagine the Nobel Committee being like, you know what, this year we're going to give this to somebody who actually fought against dictatorship, you know, pushed rights for people who don't have rights, risked their lives in organized mass movements. And someone was like, hold up, but what about Donald Trump? Yeah, no. He's complaining that the Nobel Committee is choosing politics over peace, but at the same time, it's like a pyromaniac complaining that the house is on fire because of the politics, when he's the one who actually lit the house on fire. He's gonna say, I deserve it more than anyone who's ever deserved anything. They're biased, they hate Americans, they're Europeans. He's probably gonna demand that the committee resign. He's gonna put tariffs on Norway because of this. Or there's gonna be an even bigger, better American Nobel Prize. You know, the Trump Prize for Peace. My God, it sounds genius. Somebody call the White House and tell them to get on it, honestly. Like, Trump already has pretty much everything you can want. I mean, he could just put the Nobel Peace Prize, right, next to one of the sand traps on one of his golf courses in Scotland. I think it's good that he actually didn't win, because honestly, the Nobel Prize would lose all kind of legitimacy. You know, everyone would just say that, oh, this was done for partisan politics, or because somebody was paid off, and all that, honestly, all that kind of skepticism would be authentic and would kind of make sense, to be honest, just by the way that the guy operates. And of course, it would also set a precedent that you could push for a peace prize, but peace is a kind of a work that's done in silence. It's not just a billboard that you put around your neck, right? It's not something you can put out there and say, hey, this is what I deserve. As soon as you start asking for the Nobel Peace Prize, you lose it. Everyone knows that. So now, we just kind of wait, right? This news was just dropped, which means over the next couple of days, there's going to be a lot of TikToks. There's going to be a lot of talking heads on media, really kind of melting down. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm kind of here for it. I really am. I'm here for the excitement. It's going to make for a nice spectacle this weekend, which is great, especially on a weekend that I will be working. Of course, not just YouTube. I mean, my actual job. Sometimes you got to work on a Saturday, right? You got to step away from the carnival, and you actually got to go into the office. This is what I do. But I'll be from home, so I'll still be able to produce some content, which is nice. But it's going to be great because, you know, Trump himself, he'll probably lash out at a few actual Nobel laureates. He's definitely going to lash out at Obama. You know that's coming. That's coming more than ever. I mean, Obama's been out there kind of being openly against Trump and his policies, So, you know, they probably got a beef going on that's been going on for a long time, just going to exacerbate that. The Nobel Committee's integrity is going to be up for question. Norway's foreign policy is going to be up for question. And of course, like we said, tariffs are just going to be inbound on this one. In fact, if they weren't, it would be a surprise. And maybe that's a sign of personal progress for our dear dictator. In fact, wouldn't it be rich if, like, over the night he drafted some kind of a push to have the Nobel Peace Prize actually forced onto him, saying, oh, it was actually a big mistake. They were waiting for the mail-in votes to come in. The decision was made too early, and the guy actually gets it. In the clown world, the carnival, the great circus that we're in, calm down, juggalos, it's not beyond belief, honestly. And in the meanwhile, the world moves on. Machado gives a speech on democracy, values, resistance, and accountability. Trump gives a speech on his own greatness and how the world is unfair to him. It's the same old thing as always, right? Just give the guy a loser trophy. Give him for God's sake, somebody give him a nice, shiny, golden participation trophy. You know, maybe you can call the Qataris and they'll go ahead and give him another resort. Who knows? So congratulations to Maria Carina Machado. Congratulations to the Nobel Committee from stopping this thing from becoming an absolute show in a circus. I mean, it's definitely going to piss off Fox News because they were probably going to try to get the rights to broadcast the entire things just by themselves. And to Trump, you lost. And that's okay. Some things you just can't earn, you know? That's the way that it is. Not with tweets, not with bombast, not with demands. Some things you have to do beyond just for self-notoriety. So for now, go ahead and grab your popcorn and sit back because the meltdown is coming. You all know it's coming. And when it does, I'll be here watching, sipping coffee, or latte, like an espresso, you know, making jokes. Because sometimes the universe delivers the perfect punchline. If you're still here at this point, ladies and gentlemen, like and subscribe. Please subscribe. Please join our little army here, right? We rebel and we resist together. Have your voice be heard. Right? Think about becoming a member, make a glorious donation. Join the Discord, chop it up with us over there. That's fun. We thank you guys as always for your support. Welcome to the carnival. Fitting, I believe. And we hope you guys have an outstanding weekend. Take care.